Well, I guess I better get ready to lose some subscribers. I think Chasing Amy is just fine. I don't think it's great. In my opinion, it's just fine. That doesn't mean there isn't stuff I really like about it. In fact, there are several aspects I really admire about it. I just don't think it comes together into the perfect package that many others do. Holden McNeil, played by Ben Affleck, and Banky Edwards, played by Jason Lee, are two comic book artists who have struck it big time with their stories called Blunt Man and Chronic. Holden then becomes attached to a fellow comic book artist named Alyssa, played by Joey Lauren Adams, and at first it seems like they hit it off pretty well, but then it turns out Alyssa is gay. Now he has to deal with his feelings for, knowing that she will never feel the same about him. This is actually a much more cohesive movie than his last two. It's mostly focused on these two as a couple, with some other subplots and a few random sketchy parts that happen, which is a good thing because this movie is surprisingly long. It clocks in at just under 2 hours and, well, I'll just say it just is not as entertaining as his last two movies. Again, to me. And I think the reason is that the scenes just drag on way longer than they need to. Most of them are just characters talking about shit, and half the time I don't even think they're trying to be funny, which I know isn't really a bad thing, I guess, but when they keep going on and it's so dry, it made me want to fast forward. It's also kind of repetitive. First they're getting along fine, and then they're fighting, then they're getting along, and then they're fighting. It's basically just watching a relationship that I'm just not sure is what I want to see blossom, because Holden and Banky are not very likable characters. Once again, it's sort of a straight man with love life issues and his douchebag best friend, meaning this is the third movie in a row with these characters. But unlike Clerks and Mallrats, these two are just kind of annoying. Banky is a homophobic loudmouth with some serious jealousy issues, and Holden is ungodly pretentious. He became rich making this Blunt Man and Chronic comic book, and yet seems kind of ashamed of it, saying stuff like, "I don't want this to be my greatest artistic achievement." Dude, so long as you're actually trying and you enjoy doing it, who cares? Now yes, granted they do grow as the movie goes on, but I spend most of the movie like I don't want these two to be on screen together. It's when they're apart that I think the movie is at its best. Also, this is really just a nitpick, but several actors from this were also in Mallrats, playing different characters, and now it's just getting confusing. Yes, Brian O'Halloran was in all three of these movies playing different characters, but all three of them were related. Affleck, Adams, and Lee were all in Mallrats playing characters who, as far as I can tell, are not related. So there are just clones running around in this universe. But that's enough complaining. There is a lot I admire about this movie, and probably what I like most is the plot. I was only a small child in the 90s, but I can remember the way a lot of media portrayed gay people. We had gotten past hating or fearing them, at least somewhat, but we still weren't ready to treat them like actual humans yet. You know, with their own personalities, interests, and tastes. So aside from them being so proud to be gay that they practically had to announce it all the time, the dudes were portrayed as super effeminate, flaming, overly promiscuous horn dogs that will sleep with any other gay man no matter what, and the women were either there for cheap sex appeal or were super masculine, sort of bitter, stuff like that. So the fact that this movie treats its gay and bi characters like actual people, that alone gets it a lot of props in my book. For a movie released in 1997 to just have characters who are attracted to people of the same sex, but still feel like actual characters and not just stereotypes, is amazing. And I do like the idea of falling in love with someone who is gay, or vice versa, being gay and falling in love with someone who is straight. I haven't seen a lot of media tackle that subject, and it's a subject matter I think has a lot of potential. Also, Affleck and Adams are legit kind of cute together. They have good chemistry, it allows their relationship to build, and when he tells her he loves her, it is a legit heartbreaking scene.
I love you.
You love me.
I love you. And not in a friendly way. Although I think we're great friends. And not in a misplaced affection, puppy dog way. Although I'm sure that's what you'll call it. I love you. And I know that you think of me as just a friend, and crossing that line is the furthest thing from an option you would ever consider, but I had to say it.
In fact, the acting all around is good. Adams has the kind of voice you would think would be annoying, but it surprisingly isn't. It also handles tone pretty well. Well, personally, I would have preferred it to have more humor. The fact that he juggles being a 90s romantic comedy with Smith's sort of trademark dirty humor and the more serious subject matter, and it doesn't feel odd, I think speaks to his talent as a writer and director. The climax especially, it's just the right amount of cringy where I'm going, oh no dude, don't say that. And while it's funny, I do kind of sit there mortified as well. So yeah, I do appreciate this film. It's definitely a film I admire more than I like, and I do still like it. There's little about the movie I would call bad. It's just not really my thing. But I guess I'm in the minority. Most people absolutely love it, and that's cool. I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10. Personally, I prefer Mallrats, but I still think you should see this if you can. It's sort of his last in the Gen X problems he did before things started getting a little more weird. How weird? Well, join me tomorrow where we'll see a movie with shit monsters, fallen angels, and the possibility of the apocalypse. See you then.